And welcome back. This is your man Warrior. This is another patron roster review. This is DarthWise from Rise of the Fallen. What's going on, Rise of the Fallen? Now, he is a whale. DarthWise has been playing for well over 2 years. Is doing good in the top 50 for the most part during payout. You can see he's using both the current meta for both fleet and arena. Wanted me to kind of just give an overview on the arena and fleet. And so actually, as far as the characters and what you're using, I wouldn't change a thing, but when it comes to modding, we will make some suggestions on some of the mods. I do love the new look of this. I can really, especially with my reviews, know exactly who you already have Zetas on or not without digging in, and it shows the number of Zetas and stuff. So really love this new quality of life update that was integrated into this update. So let's start with your regular arena team, and I just want to go through a couple of things. First, your Emperor Palpatine. The first thing was the arrow needs to be speed. It needs to be 30 speed arrow. You should be able to pick one of those up pretty easily, but he needs the speed. Yours is really slow. The extra protection doesn't really help unless you have his unique Zeta, which is Crackling Doom, and you don't. And even then, speed in arena is going to still be more important because Crackling Doom will act almost like a mod and give you more protection. So really, you just need to make sure this speed arrow is a speed arrow. As far as the other one, the triangle, this only has 4 speed in its health. And so I would completely change this out for an offense triangle. I would do an offense triangle at a minimum because he does special damage. He's rarely ever going to crit. But if you get his base offense up, he's going to do a far bit more damage. And he is one of the damage dealers on your team. So this offense triangle would be an excellent way to increase the damage output for arena. Now, as far as the plus on the bottom right, you may have it on here because it has 8 speed, which is okay, but tenacity is worthless on Emperor Palpatine. It really is. You should have this either a 24% potency, which I would recommend, or if you're really concerned about protection, like you had protection on the arrow, I would put the protection here. If you were going to put protection on the character, it should go in this spot. So those 3 on the right need to be looked at and adjusted. As far as Darth Nihilus, I would actually Zeta his Lord of Hunger, not just for your arena team, but for the game in general, just overall. But this is an excellent Zeta that really will help you with speed. And I noticed when going through your mods, you don't have the fastest speed. You're probably struggling a little bit in that area. It's every little bit you can get can help, right? Well, Lord of Hunger Unique is going to give you extra turn meter through an Emperor Palpatine lead. So because of that, I would highly recommend the unique being Zeta on Darth Nihilus. And then the rest of it looks pretty good. As far as the plus, it has 8 speed, but it's defense. If there was a possibility you could get this switched out for a protection plus and have 8 speed or more, that would be really good. For defense on him, he's not a tank. He doesn't have very high defense, and so the defense stat isn't going to do a whole lot for you, whereas protection will create some viability in arena. So get this one switched out as well. As far as Thrawn goes, you don't need his leadership right now, but for the team you're in, the Ebb and Flow unique would be a worthwhile Zeta. Anytime you can get countering on a team, especially for defense, it's super important. And then, well, last time I was in here, your mods were good, and the mods are all kind of messed up now. So it looks like you're working on your mods as we speak. Because I just went in here and they were pretty good, but my only critique is that you had him fast, but you need him faster. Grand Admiral Thrawn should be statistically the fastest character on your team. Obviously, Darth Vader is actually going to be fastest because of Emperor Palpatine, but I would still recommend having the actual speed amounts faster on Grand Admiral Thrawn. He's a really important character, and the Ebb and Flow is a really great Zeta, because I know you're kind of wanting to know Zetas, and these are 2 arena Zetas that would make this team more durable and do better on defense as well as offense. And then as far as Sion goes, all in all, you did pretty well. It looks like you've done a little bit of remodding on him. You did have some offense and potency, and that's what I recommend. But as far as this, you have tenacity. Again, tenacity on him, this amount is really just a worthless stat for this particular character. In this scenario, I would have protection on the primary stat for this with as much secondary as possible. Now, my guess is some of your best mods with like plus 10 speed are ones with tenacity, which is probably why you're using it. And if that's the case, then I hear you. But for durability, you really want the primary stat to be protection. And so you're going to want to go into the store and really take a look at those. Now, when we go over to your fleet arena, you have the right characters. They look pretty good. I would continue to develop these ships. Now, most of the ships look pretty good, but you do, for example, want like your first order TIE pilot. He's at gear 10. You want to continue to take him up eventually to gear 12. Make sure that you have all of his attacks and abilities omega'd, and if you ever do decide to throw a Zeta on a character for ships, this Kenai would be a good one, but you don't have to do that, but at least omega the double tap and gun down. Everything you do to your characters are going to improve the health and speed of your ships, and that's really important. So continue the development of not just the character gear, but the attacks and abilities, and then continue to develop on the gear for your bigs, TIE Fighter pilot, Death Trooper, Shore Trooper, First Order TIE Pilot. All of those characters are integrated into your fleet, and so you want to make sure that you're continuing to develop them. Now, you did also want to know kind of about Zetas, specifically who should you be Zetaing in teams that are relevant to like the Sith raid, territory battles, and territory wars. So as a general rule with territory battles, wars, and Sith raid, we kind of want to go through some of the most known overpowered teams that are really going to help you get the most out of offense, defense, and scores in the Sith raid. And so let's go in and talk about a team I think you really should consider developing. All right, here you go. And what's really cool about this team is this is the first priority I would have for you is to finish off this team. And look at this, Mother Talzin and Asajj Ventress, gear 12 already. So it looks like you're kind of on the right track mentally. So that's really, really good. You're going to need about 3 Zetas for this team. You don't need them all, but I would recommend the 3. Both of Asajj Ventress, her lead first, then the unique, and then Mother Talzin's unique. And if it was personally for just the Sith raid, then I would do Asajj Ventress's, both of them, and then Mother Talzin. Otherwise, if this is for territory wars, territory battles, I would probably do Asajj Ventress lead, Mother Talzin unique, and then Asajj Ventress unique. So it really depends on where you're going to use them, but I have a feeling you'll use them everywhere. Now, for the long haul, you're going to want Talia because of the heal she brings, and Old Daka because of the heal and revive that she brings. So the top 4 are the top 4 you want. Your Night Sister zombie is 7 stars, and leave it at the gear level it is. All you want the zombie to be is fast. That's it. Fast. It's one of the few fast tunes you really need to make fast. The rest don't have to be fast because of the turn meter gain they're going to get, and they're going to hit pretty hard. So Old Daka and Talia, you really want to have health mods, which is a surprising twist you're going to love because those things are like not that hard to get a hold of. So health mod sets will be good for the 2 of them. Mother Talzin and Asajj Ventress, you can go offense, really try and increase their damage output. So pretty cool. Your Night Sisters are almost there. I mean, your zombies done. Ventress and Talzin are done, but you got 3 Zetas to do. And then you really need to finish off gearing Talia and Old Daka. That's the first team I would recommend. And it's going to help you with Phase 4 Sith Raid, but I've seen people use it in Phase 2 as well as Phase 3. Phase 2 and Phase 4 are really the best, but Phase 4 is the best. It just takes some time and practice. And then as far as territory battles, this is a go-to team for me. I can zip right through territory battles, all 6 phases with this team. And then territory wars, you can use it offensively or as a defensive team. Works well. Let's go to the second team now. And boom, again, another team really well developed. So again, I think you're on kind of the same wavelength that I am, and I'm just going over some of these dark characters, and then we'll go over some of the lighter characters in a minute. But you've got a Zeta on Kylo Ren, both Kylo Rens. You have the First Order Officer, Executioner, the Stormtrooper. You have the TIE Fighter Pilot. All these characters are really, really good. That whole top row is excellent. And for First Order, you might want to actually consider putting a Zeta on Barriss, and then put Barriss in place of First Order Officer. Now, if you're going to use it in territory wars offensively, I wouldn't. I would use this team defensively, and I know that speed is going to be an issue. You really want Kylo Ren unmasked over 230 and First Order Officer over 230. If you can get both of these characters over 230, then I would use First Order Officer. If you can't, then I would use Barriss Offee and put a Zeta on her in place of First Order Officer. If you can't be faster than the teams that you're going to be facing, then you want more durability. If you can be faster, then you want to be faster. So that's kind of how you make a decision or a determination as to whether you put the officer in or like Barriss Offee on this team. But First Order Stormtrooper, you want to continue to develop First Order Executioner and First Order Officer, as well as finishing off Kylo Ren Unmasked, that last piece. But First Order looks really, really good on defense. Just consider, because mods are hard to get and your First Order Officer is kind of hard to get high up on speed, you may just want to do a Zeta on Barriss Offee and stick her in that slot. Let's go to another team. All right, here's Resistance, and your Resistance looks really, really good. And you got a couple of teams that come out of Resistance. Let's pretend General Kenobi's in this group too, by the way, and let's forget about Rose Tico. So if you have General Kenobi in this lineup, you have 10 characters and 2 teams. You can really mix these 2 teams up how you see fit, and they both can be utilized in the raid with the Raid Jedi training for Phase 1 with BB-8, R2-D2, Holdo, and Resistance Trooper. And a lot of people actually will put in Holdo in place of R2-D2 because they both kind of put up foresight and stuff, and that way you can keep Rey Scavenger on the team for the damage. So Rey, BB-8, Holdo, and Trooper for that team for Sith Raid. But for Territory Wars defense, you're going to use Rey, BB-8, R2-D2, and then what I use personally is Rey Scavenger and General Kenobi, because the RNG can call whoever they want to assist, and inevitably it feels like it calls Rey Scavenger as the assisting all the time. So it's a really great defensive squad, and that leaves you with your Poe Dameron, Finn, Amilyn Holdo, Resistance Trooper, and Pilot for an offensive team. That team can really clear out almost anything. They're anti-Darth Traya teams. You can use it as an anti- Empire team. You can use it as an anti-Thrawn team, actually pretty effectively against anti-Thrawn. All you really need is a fast Poe, and I personally use it as an anti-First Order team to really clear through those First Order nodes. Just need a fast Poe Dameron. Really, that's about it. So there's a good team that you can work on as well, but for the most part, the reason why I left this one till third is because it's pretty much developed. Again, General Kenobi and Resistance Pilot would need to be in these 2 squads, so finish off your Resistance Pilot. Now let's move over to a couple other teams that are not ready. Those teams that I just mentioned are ready or almost ready or pretty much ready. You just need to tweak a few guys, a few characters. Let's move into 3 teams that you really need to put some time and energy into. Back to dark side, Imperial Troopers, not only are they required in territory battles, but they're really good in the Sith Raid. They're also really good as an offensive team in territory wars. And if you're going to use them, the top 5 are what you want. Stark, Veers, Snow Trooper, Shore Trooper, and Death Trooper. Of course, Death Trooper and Shore Trooper have a really great ship, so why not continue developing them? Veers, you would want to Zeta his unique, which is really great. You could use it on any Empire team. You don't have to have him as leader, but if you use these top 5, you would make him leader. And then Colonel Stark, finish him off, and Snow Trooper. Snow Trooper is really an engine of destruction on this particular team and will help you with territory battles and the Sith Raid as well. So this is definitely a team I would finish off. I know you're about halfway there, but definitely put it in your list of to-dos and kind of go that direction. The next is Ewoks. Now, what's really cool about Ewoks is you have all 7 of them, 7-star, and so you can continue to develop them and use them. This is a really great win at in-game, fully maxed out, and you have a Zeta on Chirpa, and if you can, a Zeta on Wicket, it gives you an offensive team that can chew through virtually any team in the game if played correctly. Now, your tank Poplu needs to be fast, over 200 speed. That's very difficult, but your team's not ready quite yet anyway. And you want Wicket to be critical chance and damage, and lots of critical chance and damage, so that way he can do a ton of damage and regenerate everybody's protection. So it's a really cool, fun team. This is more in-game, but you're kind of in-game right now, DarthWise. And so this is with Imperial Troopers. Ewoks is one of those teams I think you should start taking a look at, since you have the 7-star rarity on all of these Ewoks. And then let's move to another. So I mentioned Imperial Troopers and Ewoks. The last synergistic team I'm going to mention you might want to consider is either Phoenix or Rogue One. If you're going to focus on Rogue One, then you're going to want a Zeta Jyn Erso. The Phoenix don't have to have any other Zetas. They would just need to be developed higher. But I would lean towards Rogue One. Both are going to be required in territory battles, and both of them have decent synergy as offense or defense in territory wars, with Rogue One having a slight edge in my opinion. Specifically Chirrut and Baze, they're great. Now, some people like to substitute K2SO out for Scarif Rebel Pathfinder in, because Scarif Rebel Pathfinder is a pretty cool tank. I don't see a problem with that, although Cassian and K2SO have great synergy. Really, POW is only needed for the raids for the Chex Mix team and doesn't need to be anything higher than what you have him. Jyn Erso would be your leader. Chirrut, Cassian are your damage dealers, with Baze Malbus and K2SO, or Baze Malbus and Scarif Rebel Pathfinder as the two tanks. I would just finish off developing this team. There's no rush, but this one and the Phoenix team are both teams that are required in territory battles, and there are two more throwaway teams you can use on defense, offense, in territory wars, or use them as throwaway teams in the Sith raid if you're just trying to get another couple 100,000 damage and boost your score a little bit, because at some point you end up just starting to throw whatever team you have available at it, and this is just one more team. So we've talked about the Rogue One and Phoenix, picking one or both, continue to work them up. Ewoks, which I feel like are a little more important, and then Imperial Troopers, which would be more important than even those to work on. And then, of course, finishing off the teams that you have, which we talked about, were Night Sisters, Resistance, and First Order. They look pretty good. And then just keep developing your fleet captains, the guys that fly those planes, get those guys up, and then also make sure that you finish off your arena team by taking a look at a few of those mods and getting them fixed up. Well, DarthWise, it looks really good. If you have any questions, hit me up on Discord. And as always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.